Good evening, folks. Welcome back. Hope you're still enjoying the sunshine. It's meant to end tomorrow, by the way. Though I put a dampener in anybody's spirits or anything, pardon the pun, but it's meant to end tomorrow in Scotland. But anyway, tonight we are rejoined, but tonight we are joined again by Catherine McLean from Unlocked Paranormal. Catherine was with us about a month ago, 4 or 5 weeks ago or something.
Roughly that, aye.
And she had a fantastic time, and she's been bugging me ever since to come back on. That's what every second day she mails me. Please let me come back on. And so you know what it's like. You need to give in eventually. They're right, okay, fine. But I'm only kidding on. How are you doing, Catherine?
I'm grand. How are you?
I'm all right. I've got a bit of colour about me, I think.
Been catching the sun?
Aye, my head's all burnt, seemingly, because I've not been wearing a hat. Because you see, you know what it's like. You sit when you're out in the sun. I usually wear a hat, but when you're out in the sun, you know, for any length of time, and you get the line.
Aye.
You know, because I get the speck line as well. I always get the two wee white lines at the side of the head.
With your panda eyes, big white circles.
Exactly. So I decided not to wear a hat, but Sarah's informed me that my head's all sunburnt.
Rookie mistake. Always wear a hat.
I mean, see, you're all right, because you've got a wee bit of coverage up there. You know, as follically challenged people don't.
If you don't have your hat, you only have your factor 50. I
tried wearing a bandana once, years ago. I didn't think Sarah knows this, but I think I was abroad and I bought a bandana. But I just looked like a total clown, you know. And so that get bound and resorted to the hat. But so we've been up to, Catherine. Enough about me and my head. What I talk about my head? I could talk about my head all night, but I'm sure people would end up bored, you know.
What have I been up to? Not much, just plodding along, try to get venues organised, try to keep on top of the socials, try to just come up with new ideas for content. You know what it's like. And then dealing with two Waynes that decided that they were going to take no well at the same time, so I've had a house full of spew.
I hope they're on the road to mend. My words, it's the sun. I've had too much sun, I think. Are they on the mend?
They are, yeah. I think they've had too much sun as well. I think they've been out in the garden and the paddling pool, and it's just been too hot for them, and it's caught up with them. But they're fine. They're absolutely fine.
But that's who Wayne's Dave. She's 9, and I think it was last week one day, and she just too much sun. She felt quite yucky at night time.
Mm-hmm. Aye, you know, that's exactly it. And they're out playing for so long, and they're not drinking enough fluids. And Waynes are Waynes.
Well, we did it when we were Wayne's, mind. You know, as soon as the sun was out, we were out. You know, well, actually, even if it was raining, we were still out, weren't we?
Aye, before the days of social media and Xbox and YouTube.
I was just going to say that because we didn't have Xbox, PlayStations, and any of that kind of stuff. But no, I know what you mean about, you know, the content thing. You know, you're constantly trying to come up with. It's not that you're wanting to be special or anything, but we like to try and be kind of original sometimes.
Aye, it's trying to not churn out the same stuff that's already out there and try to put your own spin on it, just so that you're not boring your audience. But it's hard to try and come up with material that's not already out there.
You know, you get a lot of disrespect to them. It's their thing. It's the same thing week in, week out, you know. And it does get kind of monotonous and mundane. I think mundane's a word. I'm not too sure. Boring. Mm-hmm. And so you do try to be different. That's why with the podcasts, you know, I like to throw in. Well, we started the mystery ones, Laura and Sarah, as we were just talking about there. I like to throw in sort of non-paranormal related ones every now and again.
Yeah.
You know. I mean, towards the end of last year, I did a show about Elvis, and you know, with David Espin. I think I'm still talking because my words are It's a tumble dryer. David Espinosa, Craig Arns, and Elvis Melanie Wade. So we just done a show about. I found this last on TikTok, and I quite liked her, her stuff and what have you. And I thought, why don't we just do a show on Elvis? Because I'm a big Elvis fan, obviously. And yeah. Hey guys, sorry I'm late. I was brushing my teeth individually with one bristle.
Who said that?
Laura. Laura's one of yours.
Oh, she's trying to be funny.
Brushing my teeth individually. Is that a joke?
Aye, Scott, because that's the kind of thing you say. Oh, I'm late because I was out washing the neighbour's path and stuff.
No, I usually say I was out doing my water zumba in my paddling pool. In the neighbour's garden. Or
See, that's quality content right there. You need to get that up on the channel.
Me doing water zumba? No, you don't want to see this in the... You don't, trust me, as good looking as I am, Catherine, you don't want to see this in a swimsuit flailing about in a paddling pool in a back garden. It's no...
You could start a trend.
Sorry, not funny, but I did. No, it was a good enough attempt, dear. Actually, Laura, just before we come on, Catherine was talking. I let her tell you she caught you at the end of your show last night. I
did. It was very interesting. I quite enjoyed it. And I was meaning to see the start of it, but I was late getting it on. So from what I saw, I didn't want to turn it off.
You haven't saw his legs. Nothing wrong with my legs. But anyway, what was saying? So I mean, content-wise, you do try and come up with... says, no, you don't try to stand out or anything, but just trying something different. Some of your ideas, some of the ideas I've had were just crap.
It's all trial and error, isn't it? Like, it's really hard to predict what folk want to see, and you can't please everybody.
No, you're always going to get... We've been criticised a couple of times. You say, some of your shows have got nothing today. Laura says, thanks very much. Love, that means a lot. A couple of folks say, your shows, that show's got nothing to do with the paranormal.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, well, it's no, because we just try and mix it up a wee bit.
Yeah.
You know, same as the page. To some of your posts on the to do with paranormal. Well, I think people like to see that you're not just a paranormal investigator.
Mm-hmm.
That you do actually have a life.
Yeah, there's more to us than just ghosts.
Aye, I mean, I put pictures up. I think did I put pictures up in a Lego?
I think so.
Aye, I've got recently series in the Legos. I recently right at the Lego, can I? So I put a couple of pictures up, and I built a Lego thing. Exactly, there's a human side to paranormal too.
Definitely.
And I put a picture up when I done laminated the living room flare. Just random stuff.
It's just to show that, like, we are just normal folk, isn't it? It's trying to be relatable to your audience and just let them see another side to you, like you're saying. Aye,
and as Laura says, there is a human side. Just so that people don't think that all we do is sit in graveyards or castles or, wherever we do, that we actually do have, a life.
Mm-hmm.
I think one time I put up a post that because I was tidying our daughter's bedroom. And I says, wish me luck. I'm going into a place that no man should ever go and stuff like that. And my 9-year-old bed. It's just a wee bit of humour. It's a break it up. If they don't like it, they don't need to read it. They can scroll on or bugger off. That's the way that's the way I look at it. But no, it is hard to, because everybody's doing the kind of same thing.
Aye, it's trying to find your niche, isn't it? But it's the same when you watch other creators. I'll find myself thinking, I wonder, I wonder what they do for a living. I wonder what else they're interested in. You start to think past their current content and become invested in them almost, even though they're a total stranger. and it's just some random that you're watching on TikTok or YouTube or whatever. But you do start to think, you humanise them more and start to think about their life, because that's what people do, isn't it? So it's when we put stuff that's not paranormal related, it's like you're trying to, I don't know, just let people see the other side to you.
You just, I've done it myself. You're watching people and I wonder what they do in their spare time.
Mm-hmm.
Where they go shopping, or it could be anything. But I think it also lets people outside the paranormal who might come across your page, or we're a private group, but who might come across your page, going through Facebook, that people who's not into paranormal and they stumble upon your page and they say, I'll have a wee look here. And they see that, they do history, they do paranormal, but they also, guy likes Lego and guy loves Formula One and blah, blah, blah. And it does kind of, again, bring the human side to be, try to come up with content. We've been lucky so far. We've been running 5 years, just June, July sometime. And we've always, been able to come up with stuff. Where do you get your inspiration from?
Loads of places. So if we do footage from events and venues that we've been to, I tend to put in YouTube, because it's got your videos can run longer, but it takes longer to create that content. You could be sat for hours trying to put stuff on YouTube. So the majority of my stuff I put on TikTok, just because it's really easy, it's dead quick, I can do it on my phone. So a lot of the stuff I've got on TikTok are photos of places that I've been. I like architecture, old buildings. I think one of the last things I put up, I was cleaning out my dad's loft, and it was random things I'd found in the loft because they were old, and I thought that's interesting. So that's not paranormal at all, but I thought that's quite interesting. I'm going to put that up there. I think I put up a paper that's from, I can't remember, was it like 1993 or something? And it had the old adverts in it, and just inspiration really comes from, if I see it and I think, that's quite interesting, or that's quite unique, I'm going to put that up. If folk like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't. Like you said, they can scroll past. But also, I don't put up anything that's offensive or anything like that. I like to try and keep it as family friendly as possible. But yeah, anything really. If I think it looks interesting or unique or mysterious, I'll pop it up. But the hard stuff is the venues.
Charles, come back to Laura's comments. I'm deaf, and so with that I don't work. I've always had a fascination with trying to solve mysteries. And this is how mystery came about. As I read a lot of stuff related to mystery, and one night Sarah, Scott, my husband and I played a murder mystery game that my son gave us. It was so much fun. My eggs were a tad offence today. Laura's son gave it. It was like, how can you describe it? It was like you get cards and stuff, and I think it was a bit like Cluedo. But we sat in here one night, and it actually turned out quite a good wee night. I actually quite enjoyed it.
Love a murder mystery.
Yeah, I love Columbo. He's my favourite. He's my all-time favourite. Sarah hates him. I don't know why, but Laura bought 3 eggs a day, and they were all white except one. I think that's what she's meaning. I know, I love Columbo. It's because it was just always wee habits and stuff, and plus it was the first kind of show its kind where you knew who done it.
Yeah.
And you to try and figure out how he was going to solve it.
Yeah. See, I love the nostalgia. So I really enjoy Agatha Christie, your Columbo. See anything that's like from a bygone era, because as well as watching it and getting the story, I'm looking at the background and looking at the what they're wearing, and did you ever watch Jonathan Creek?
Long time ago, I think. Long time ago.
That was on. It must have been on I don't know, UK TV or whatever. It was on recently. And in the background, there was a petrol station, and the petrol was like 80 pence or something a litre. I was like, oh my God, is that real? Did that happen? But stuff like that. So I love watching like programmes for like in the 90s and stuff, just because there's a quirkiness to it. And probably in like 20 years' time, we'll be watching programmes from now thinking, oh my God, petrol was £1.80. That was dead cheap.
Aye, in 20 years' time, about £30 a gallon or something like that, you know. But no, I
Still have it.
know Jessica Fletcher is amazing as
Oh.
well as John, and the likes of Midsummer's. That is, I'm a geek. Midsummer's Murders. I think the village was called Midsummer's. It is a paranormal show, folks, by the way. Just, you know, but I think the village. I used to think to myself, who would want to move there? Because every week somebody gets bumped off.
I always said that. See, if you ever go anywhere and you bump into old Jessica, just leave, because somebody's about to die.
Aye, somebody's about to cake it, but no, the Midsummers, who, you know, surely they must be running out of villagers. Because they keep killing them off. I love all the old stuff. I was watching, just before we come on to Paranormal, I don't know if you ever watched it, Thin Blue Line.
Oh, yeah, yep.
Rowan Atkinson, what have you.
Yep.
I started watching that again, and Sarah lovingly called it old man's comedy.
Old man's comedy. A lot of the comedy they'll not show on telly anymore.
I mean, you can get away with stuff. I mean, take Dave Allen. I don't know if you ever watched Dave Allen.
No, I don't know that name.
Dave Allen was an Irish, he's passed away now, sadly. He was an Irish comedian, and he used to he done sketches as well, but most of his shows he was sitting on this black seat kind of thing, and he always had a whiskey, and he would smoke as well, and he would rip the absolute mince out of the Catholic Church, and you know, I mean, rip it right out about everything. But you wouldn't get away with it these days. He'd be banned. He'd be sued. You know. But back then, you know, and the whiskey and he's out smoking the fags and stuff, and this priest and stuff like that, you know, he would do sketches on the Catholic Church or no. And everybody loved him, but you know, enough about television. We're here to talk some paranormal. But aye, the Thin Blue Line, I loved it. It was one of my favourites, especially PC Goody. You remember him? I just, because he was in love with Constable Habib.
That's right.
He was very, very, very camp. But he loved Habib. It was just as no. That would be on you. I think Laura's talking about us talking paranormal. No, I do talk paranormal sometimes, you know. But I mean, content wise, sometimes you get these groups that find a place and they milk it. I mentioned a group to you just before we came on. And you said you hadn't watched them for a while.
You have not watched them for a while.
To me, they're the Scottish equivalent of Ghosts of Britain. And I'm saying Ghosts of Britain, I don't care. Everybody knows who the Ghosts of Britain are. But to me, they're just trying to be the Scottish equivalent. They've found a place in the barras and they're coming up with every week. They go there and there's a different spirit, you know. And then now they came up with this priest who isn't very nice, and it's just getting out of hand, don't you think? These kind of groups that come out of this, and the guy, he was on TikTok a few weeks ago saying that basically certain people are going to get caught. I done a wee live that was, but why the darkness is coming. This guy done a TikTok a couple of weeks ago, and it's meant to be a medium. He says he'd been called up last year. Didn't say who by, just he'd been called up to fight the dark. And so many people are going to get called up, but everybody else is buggered, basically. You know, if you've lived your life, you've had a couple of kids, that's you, you've served your purpose, so you're for the big off.
Right.
But, you know, X amount of people are going to get called, and they're going to, because the dark is coming. I know he's talk, you know, Satan, Lucifer, whoever.
Okay.
And what amazed me was, I mean, I think this guy actually believes what he's saying, but the people that believe it, you know, there was all right, dog, we'll be here. There was people in the comments, you know, oh my God, this is terrible. Can you tell me more about it? And, you know, stuff like that. And you think, how are these clowns getting away with this? You know, you came across anybody like that?
Not off the top of my head. I mean, there's always, well, not personally, there's always folk that you see on social media, folk that try and message you and come out with some mental stuff. But it's quite a vague thing to say and just leave it, or the darkness is coming. Well, what does that mean? Elaborate, give us more. What do you mean we're going to get called up? Called up to do what? Like, how do we fight this darkness? What is this darkness? Like, that can be interpreted in so many different ways. And, like, people are free to believe what they want. That's absolutely fine, as long as you're not hurting anyone. But it is quite vague. And what's the timeline? Are we talking about, like, next week it's going to go dark? Is it next year? Like, what does it mean?
He said he was called, was it last October?
Yeah.
I think it was last October he was called up. And he felt, I don't know, he felt his mood changing or something like that. I think the guy was stoned, to be honest with you. You know,
Fair
I
enough.
think he was off his fairy, basically. But there was no timeline. You know, because he says the world is changing with all the wars and all the, you know, stuff that's happening. This is the dark taking over. So, you know, you've got kids, haven't you?
Yep, I have, yep.
You're buggered. Same as me.
So is that what you said? If you've got kids, you've got any chance?
Aye, that you've served out your life plan. This was your destiny. This was you were meant to do in this earth. Come here, have some kids, and then you're off ski.
And then that's me. Oh well, job done. I can
Aye,
retire now.
I mean, I've never told a guest before that they're buggered, but I feel it's my duty.
The duty now, that's you. You need to warn everybody.
I'm going to have to spread the word.
Aye. People
You
create
know.
their own darkness. People make their own darkness and they make their own light. But we're all here. We all just need to make the most of it. And if there is people that truly believe that darkness is coming, then that's up to them to deal with that and work out. They can figure out how to fight it. But I believe that you can create your own happiness. You can create your own light. If you want to live in a world where you believe that it's full of darkness, then that's your prerogative. But as for me, maybe that's me scared because I have had my ways. Sometimes it does feel like that. But every mum will say that.
Aye, every parent feels like that, don't they? At one point. It's not that they don't love their kids, but they think,
It's stressful.
you know.
But if you feel people make their life what they want it to be, we've all got the power to change it. We can change your own situation. We can make it better. We can make it worse. That's up to us. If they choose to live in the dark, fight it whatever way they want, then that's fine. But don't be going telling everybody else that they're stuffed because they've had wains.
Well, when it was talking about the dark, I thought we were going to get a big power cut or something.
Maybe we will. Maybe he's planning one.
You know,
Good one.
it's. I mean, and the other thing gets me about these people is when they sit there and they put all this spiel, you know, and you get the people sitting at home that believe it. There might be people who, you know, are a bit, I would say unstable, not unstable, but, you know,
Easily
are very vulnerable.
swayed. Yeah.
Aye. So these people are going to be sitting in their house thinking, we're all going to die.
Mm.
You know, the end is nigh because some clown has decided to say that he's going to fight the dark for us all.
Mm-hmm.
They're the kind of this kind of team I'd love to run into them on an investigation. You know, I mean, I'll give you another. This isn't a rant, but you know, I just want your opinion. They did Loud and Kirk about a month ago, Sarah, so they were live on TikTok doing Loud and Cut. Sarah tell me about it. So I was getting in and out the chat. They said that they started the live over, I've only been here once, so I don't really know anything about the place. But then later on, they started saying to Spirit, now you know us, we've been here all the time, so you should come and see us. Well, you just contradicted yourself there. So I decided I'm going to put in a red herring in the chat. So I just typed in, ask it, because I think I'd commented, we've investigated a lot there, but later on I thought, ask about Robert. Just first name popped into my head. Sure enough, they go to Robert. Robert turned out to be the boyfriend of one of the women who used to live in Loudon Castle.
Wow, it's a tenuous link.
So, and I could have said any name, but they go this name and they latched onto it and they started making all this, we've got Robert here, I was the boyfriend, the lady in the cat. You get a grip, basically. It puts you off sometimes. I mean, we love what we do, same as yourself. But sometimes you get these people out here that are just destroying it.
I think it goes back to, so now we were talking about content creation. I wonder if they now feel a pressure, like they're under pressure now that they've got to, like, a peak in what they're doing, and they now need to match that or surpass it. So the content they always need to be finding something. There always needs to be something in their content to keep viewers and subscribers or whatever. Whereas, I mean, I could sit for hours and have absolutely nothing of value to put up. I mean, if you go on my YouTube and it's like, you could go, oh God, nothing's happening, this is boring. And I know I shouldn't be saying that about my own content, but that's what it is. That is the nature of the paranormal investigating. So for folk that have maybe got like a big fan base, are they creating their content now to have the wow factor and keep people like not attached, but like keep them drawn in, so they now feel like, oh, we have to say something, we have to make it look like something's happened. Do you know what I mean? It's almost like
to keep
the pressure to keep putting stuff out there.
Well, I mean, like, see, that place in the bar is the first thing that a team did it the week before, and they picked up in this little girl Spirit. So this crowd, but these two people went in the next week, and they picked up in the girl Spirit with a different name. Then so they started going back, and every time they went back, they'd get something else, and they'd add another name on. And then I think it was 2 weeks ago they were there, but they added another 3 names in, and then a priest popped up as well. I think it was last week or something. The priest popped up to say hello, and now they're saying that one of the spirits has got a dirty secret and stuff like that.
It's almost like a soap opera, like Coronation Street or something.
Aye,
we'll tune in next week and we'll find out what the dirty secret is.
I mean, sometimes I'm from Glasgow, and the bar is a special place for me because we used to go to the bars every single Saturday. We still go, and it was always a special place to go on Christmas Eve. So it was a big part of my childhood. It's a big part of my life when I lived in Glasgow. And sometimes I'm tempted to go to this shop and just say to the guys, listen, these two folk are clowns. And you're just, I mean, this team's paying to go in there. But these guys are probably making a wee bit of money out of it, which is fine. If I had a stall down the bars and somebody I seen a way to make money, I'd probably do it. But you think, I'd love to go in and just say to the guys that own it, these folk are clowns.
So what is it about this particular stall? Because the bars is a big market. Are the spirits just in this stall, or are they throughout the bars? What is it why they?
No, it's just these folk are calling it the spirit of the bars, but it seems to be just focused on this one place. I'll tell you the name of the place after we come up. Also, I'm not going to name the guy's shop, but it seems just to be focused on this one place. And there's a lot of artifacts in it, I'll say. I'll put it that way.
Right.
And it just seems to be every week something different's happening. They put up a video today that a balloon moved in a mirror.
Right.
you know, I thought, right, where's this one going?
Mm.
You know, have we got to start seeing this balloon floating about, kind of thing? And it just annoys me. You know, as you were saying with your YouTube channel, had a mouse problem, had to deal with blood. CJ's one of our cats. Well, CJ was one of your kittens, and Laura took her off. So CJ can be a bit mischievous at times. So I think she brought in a mouse.
A wee present.
Plants for free. Hey, Plants for Freedom. What do you think about taunting spirits?
It's a bit rude, isn't it? You wouldn't taunt people in real life, so why? I don't mean real life. I mean like in the living realm. So why would you go somewhere and then start taunting folk that are deceased? What's your end game? Like, are you just a nasty person in general that taunts people, or are you trying to provoke them? It's not something that I would condone.
No, I did it once. You know, when we first started 2020, and it was in Greyfriars one night at the Mackenzie Tomb. We were just naive and, yeah, you know, what's it, green behind the ears or something it's called. Mm-hmm. And we'd never done it before, you know, never done any investigations. And it was Mackenzie Tomb. And I didn't do it all night. I done it for a few minutes. But, you know, nothing happened. But then you think, I see a lot of channels taunt. A lot of channels do taunt. I'll get my words right yet. Taunt. But it's just totally disrespectful. As you say, Kat, you know, what's the end game? You wouldn't taunt anybody in the physical. And these spirits, they're still people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they still get feelings just because they don't have a body. They still get feelings, still get emotions and what have you.
Don't get me wrong, I have been known that if a spirit's nasty to me, I'm not going to, like, if it was in the living, if they were in this realm and you were nasty to me, I'm going to give you as good as I get. Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to just take it lying down, but I'm not going to instigate it.
No, it's rude disrespect. I'm not going to feel regardless of living in this realm or the next deserved respect. Totally true. I don't know, if you get a rude spirit, then you get back as good, well, maybe not as good as you get, but you know, you get them into trouble.
Mm-hmm. You
know, you tell them, I'm not happy with the way you just spoke to me there, or, you know, there's no need for that kind of language, or, you know, whatever it might be. But the whole taunting the spirits, it happens on a lot of channels. I've watched quite a few channels, and they do, you know, come on, show me what you've got. You've got nothing, you don't have a power, throw that ball. You know, you're nothing, you can't even throw a ball and all the rest of it. That's just not the way to go about it. In fact, that team we were talking about, I've seen named it a few times. And you think, you know, don't do that.
See if it was me. See if I was the spirit and you spoke to me like that. I'd go, well, I'm not going to throw that ball. See you later. I'm out. They're not going to stay. Why would you stay to be ridiculed? You're going to just leave.
Aye. You know, nobody sits about and takes a slagging, basically.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and spirit is no different. So there you go, Plants for Free. We don't do it, and we just totally don't agree with it. It's just no how you go about doing things. But then you get these people that say, oh, it's the right way to do it because it makes spirit angry.
Why do you want to make them angry?
Why
do you want to make anyone angry?
Invoke them but you know why make spirit? You want spirit to communicate with you. You want spirit to be your friend.
You want to open a channel for conversation, don't you? Like a nice, flowing conversation, not an argument, not an angry, heated, like argument. No, that's not a nice environment to be in.
There's no, exactly. You want spirit to be your friend. I mean, if you go to a location and you start, you know, you're nothing, blah blah blah, and then you get back to it. Another time, you might have the same spirit. I remember you. You were you were slagging me off the last time, basically saying I'd no power and all the rest of it. Whereas if you do the other side, you know, if you're totally respectful and you know, like, thanks very much for talking to me. Might see you again, and then you get back again, then to me, spirit's got to remember you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, see, well, this lady or this guy, they were fine, and I'm going to talk to them because that's what we're there. That's why we're out there.
And for all we know, the spirit could be going away and saying to other spirits, here, by the way, don't talk to them. They're not very nice. Whereas if you're a nice person, about, oh no, they're all right. Like, you can have some banter with them and it's fine. But we don't know what goes on in the spirit world. They might have a wee black book of all the teams that they don't like. You just don't know.
No, exactly, though. You don't know. And we'll get queer EVPs of spirits talking to each other. You know.
Aye, that's always interesting.
Like I say, we go to Loudon with wee Rosie. Cardi was up last year with DVPs, and I think there was 4 or 5 different spirits talking to each other. And we go to Caldwell as well, and we go to on Saturday night there as well. We felt there was more than just one spirit, and they were watching us, curious, and I mean, you know, they can talk to us, they can talk to another spirit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then that brings into question do spirits see each other? Because, you know, we've done, no doubt you have as well, you encounter different spirits, and you think, well, are these spirits aware of each other? Are they for a different timeline? If so, are they because, you know, they might be for a different timeline in the physical life, but in spirit, they're the same, as far as we know.
They'll
that
go to
makes
the same
sense.
place. Yeah.
Aye, we all go to the same place. So if they all go to the same place, does that mean that these two spirits can see each other?
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, do they talk to each other?
Yeah. And then is that what we sometimes pick up on the EVP? Are we inadvertently almost like eavesdropping on their conversation with the tools that we have? Are they aware that we can actually hear them on the EVPs if they're just having a conversation with each other and they're not directly communicating with us?
You see, it's funny you say that, because one EVPs we go to Caldwell, it was different. There was a woman there. We called her the matron.
Yeah.
She always said she always came through as being in charge, kind of thing. I could have Nurse Ratchet sort of figure. And there was a gentleman, John. But we did an investigation and we were listening to the EVPs after it, and we got this woman saying, "Shh, they can see you."
Oh.
The guy was saying something. We couldn't make out what he was saying. Then we go, "Shh, they can see you." Obviously, we couldn't see her, but this woman told us. So that just proves that, you know, she's telling them, be quiet because they can see you.
Yeah. That's dead interesting.
And I think we're still going somewhere. You know that way, you get that many, and you put them in the computer, and you just totally lose track of them.
And then you go to the same place more than once, and then you're like, oh, I can't remember if it was this time or this time, so you have to go through them all. I need to get a better filing system.
Aye, that is true. And then we'll get ones at Loudon, because, you know, when you come out with us to Loudon, there's a connection between the farm and the kirk. And, you know, a couple of times I've been in the kirk garden, I've said, you know, I was up at the farm a couple of days ago, and we'll get EVPs of a woman saying Scott was up at the house.
So they remember, like...
Aye, so you think, who's this lady telling?
Yeah.
Because she's not telling us, we've heard her say Scott was up at the house. And did they remember your names? We get one asking, where's Sarah? There was one invested Sarah was there, and we got queer EVP saying, where's Sarah? So,
and was that after you were going through your evidence that you heard that, or was it on site that you were able to hear that?
That was through the necrophonic.
Right, okay.
I came through, where's Sarah?
And did you respond to where Sarah was?
I think we said something that Sarah couldn't make it today or something, you know. Why did we?
I don't know.
I think I just said, so, Sarah couldn't make it today, but she will be back, you know, another time sort of thing. So it's things like this, you think, well, who are they talking to?
Yeah.
You know, they're obviously telling somebody that I was up at the house, and it's no us, you know. And that's what I find fascinating about it, because you've got it there. It's clear voices, but you cannot explain it.
Yeah, it's like this voice has materialised out of the ether. What has created it?
It's the same as when you use a voice recorder, and you know you've been in a location. No doubt this has happened to you. You've been in a location and you've got the voice recorder running, and there's you can hear everything that's going on, and then you play it back, and you're getting voices. You're getting people talking, and you know that's no anybody physical because everybody's accounted for.
Yeah.
And there's nobody outside, the barn or wherever it is. There's nobody hanging about outside. So you think, well, where are these voices coming from?
It's when you've probably had it as well, when you can hear two people having two of your team having a conversation, and then underneath their conversation you can hear someone else talking, and you know it's not anyone in your team because they're actively talking to each other, and then there's this other voice coming from somewhere else that's no one in your team because they're all accounted for, but throughout your conversation you can hear this other voice almost as if they're trying to be part of your conversation, but obviously you can't hear your own ears.
We've got that today in one. I think it's just 2 words. Actually, I can't remember what it said, but there was Sarah, Laura, myself were sitting here. Maybe Laura remember, Sarah remember, but it was like 2 words, and the three is like, who's that? Because Laura's daughter was there and our guest was there, and we know it wasn't. We obviously recognise people's voices. It wasn't any of them. We thought, who's that? Because there was nobody else there.
We've got, I think it might be on YouTube actually, some good footage, and it was at Inverary jail, and it was the 3 boys were in, I don't know if you've ever been to the jail, but it was the courthouse. And I think at the time, I'm not sure if they'd started their vigil or calling out yet, but they were talking to each other, and you can see them all on camera, and they're the only 3 in the room. And one of the boys trips up over a step, one of the wee steps, and then you hear laughter, and the other 2 of the team were like, oh, was that you laughing? Because they thought they were laughing at the chap that just tripped up. And they were like, no, I thought that was you laughing. And he's like, no, mate, that was you. That was you laughing. And they started arguing with each other because they're like, no, it was you. It wasn't me. But you could hear it clearly. You could hear the laughter on the video recording, and you can see the 2 boys, and you can see the boy that tripped, and you can see it's none of them that's laughed. And it was clear as day. Like, I had to watch it a few times to absolutely rule out that it wasn't in them because it was so clear. And it was one of those ones where you're, that's a bit, you've got chills because it wasn't just audible on the recording. They heard it whilst they were there in the room.
Aye, it's when you get some, Laura's daughter, Mel says on the recording, Sarah will know where it is because she does all the logging stuff. Mel says that's incredible. And then there's this voice, 2 words, female voice after it again. But we never heard it at the time. Yeah. It was just a recording picked it up. But no, I see when you hear it yourself. It's like Spig. We did a location with Spig a few times, and we were coming out one of the rooms, and there was about 7 or 8 of us, and there was a little girl says, hello. Everybody heard it, and we all stopped at the same time, and everybody looked round. And now, if it'd been one person, you think, oh, well, maybe here in time, but the whole group, and we're no idiots, we're not kind of level, well, some of us are level-headed, but everybody stopped. What was that? And it was a little girl. And it's when you get things like that, you think to people, we can't explain that.
Yeah. You start to question your sanity, don't you? You hear it and you're like, did you hear that? I heard that. Did you all hear that? It's like you're looking to make sure that, everybody heard it, so I'm not going insane. If you all heard it, then it's not just me, it's fine. But then everyone's like, where did it come from? What was it? Who said it? Why did they say it?
It was we said it was this little girl standing outside the door, waiting on us coming out, or was she walking by, or You know, who was... Have you ever been in a situation, it's happened to me, that you've heard a voice clear as day, could it just be one word, but nobody else is?
Yeah. There's been myself at different locations who's experienced that, and then there's been other people in the team that have also experienced it. Or you're in the room, the groupies are in the room, and maybe two of you hear it, but the rest of them don't. So then you're like, oh, did we really hear it? Did we not hear it? What's going on? But there's I can't remember the book, but there's a book about paranormal experiences, further enough throughout history, dating back to like the 1600s. So like these things aren't new. People have been experiencing paranormal activity since the dawn of man. And one of the experiences that's often recorded is sound related. And there was a famous house, I think it's demolished now, and it was the female of the house, and she'd hear like really loud noises, like furniture moving and like people running up and down the corridors, to the point where she was terrified. But her husband, I think he was away, so she was writing him letters and like, I can't stay in the house, this is terrifying. To the point where she ended up having like one of the staff of the house sleeping in with her, and then but everyone else in the house was like, we can't hear these sounds aren't happening. So she was thinking she was going insane, and then it wasn't till eventually another, I don't know if it's a priest or someone else, heard it and was able to verify it. So they think that spirit or whatever that was deliberately making it the only one person. They were targeting the person so that person could hear it. And I don't know what the motive was, I don't know why they do it. But then other people, eventually when they started hearing it, so I think one of the housekeepers, she was woke up one night by the furniture moving, but this time the lady of the house, she didn't hear it. So it was, for some reason, certain people at different times could hear it and other people couldn't. And there's been similar instances of that occurring in other places where paranormal activities took place. But nobody knows why. Are the spirits just doing it to be nasty? Are they just tormenting a certain person? But it makes people question their sanity, because they're like, how is nobody else hearing this?
Aye, it does. I have two comments. I've got a question and a comment for I'll stick up a wee sec. It happened to me, Caldwell once. We had brought another team up, and so I said, right, I'll give you a wee quick tour, because we'd been there quite a few times. I said, I'll give you a wee quick tour so you know where you're going. I had them down the basement, and we went into this one room. I think there was 4 of them, and we were standing in the room, and I heard this woman's voice saying, why? Just one word, why? It was really loud, and it was out to the right-hand side of me, and I just stopped, and I turned and looked at them, but none of them were reacting. And this was the middle of the afternoon. I said, did you see? No. I said, you've never heard that woman there saying why? Pardon me, she said, no, I've never heard a thing. And I know I heard it clear as day, and it was really, really loud. I was kind of angry. Why? I thought, well, how am I just hearing that? How are they not hearing it? It's the same with smells. One time we did Loud and Spig, and I done I had the headphones and the blindfold on, and I was standing quite a wee bit away from them, and I could get the strong smell of perfume. Yeah. Twice, and then I moved over. So I told one of the girls had come out, but they were all still standing away, and none of them had perfume on, but it was really strong. And then after I'd done it, I rejoined, I went back and was standing with the group, and I could smell it again. You mind that, Bea? Yeah. And I was like, can you smell that? Nobody else could smell, but it was woman's perfume. And it was so distinct. Why am I just smelling this? How can they were right next to me? How can you not smell that? No, can't smell a thing. So it does make you think, and the fact that I smelled it 3 times. The first one time we were, well, maybe I'm going nuts, but 3 times I smelled the same thing. I thought, I can't explain that, Laura's saying, i.e., the bang of the barn and the voice, after the bang, that we heard in the barn. It's on the live. I think it's 20 minutes in. If you watch it on Facebook, you'll see it. And then with the K2 was lighting up, and then it says that there's a clear sense says the light is spinning. So I don't know if whoever was referring to the K2. As we get random sentences like that, I think, well, what they're talking about.
Yeah.
I
just never get it as well where you hear, it sounds as if it's someone in your team that said something, but it's their voice, but they've not said anything. So you talk to you, what are you saying? No, I've not said anything. No, you just asked something. No, I didn't ask anything. But it's like the spirit or whatever it is mimicking the sound the other folk in your team.
Mm-hmm. Aye, I know. We've had a lot of similar experiences, though. What do you think of the stone tape theory?
I think there's something to it because it's energy, isn't it? So if something happens, especially if it's old, so the older something is and the more it's been exposed to, the more likely it's going to have absorbed something. I don't know the science behind it. I don't know if there is a science behind it, but energy, it goes somewhere, doesn't it? It's like similar to stairwells are always going to have activity because it's a heavy footfall, it's a heavy traffic area. So there's always somebody sees a spirit on a stairwell, or there's always footsteps on a stairwell because it's in life it's a very active area. So the stone tape theory, if you've got somewhere that's particularly old and has witnessed a lot of activity and energy throughout the duration of its lifespan, it's potentially going to absorb some of that energy. And can we tap into it? Is there a way for us to, I don't know, see what it is that it's recorded, for want of a better word?
I know, I told that a couple of times at Caldwell because, the building's got, unfortunately, we can't get to the history because the records are sealed in the Mitchell Library. So there's no really a lot. After 1985, the records were sealed for, I think, 75 years. So there's a few years still to go yet.
Mm-hmm.
So try to find the history, but, I think Caldwell is a kind of maybe an example of the stone tape theory because everything that we think, kind of happened there. There's a lot of evidence to support the stone tape, so there must be something in it.
Mm-hmm.
There must be something there. They painted. There's a wee village in Ayrshire called Stairs, with 2 or 3 houses and a pub. There's a church there we've done a few times and we've always been quite lucky there. One day, Laura and myself, we're doing, and we're at the back of the church. The church was shut. It's a working church, but there was nobody there. The church was all, but we get a strong smell of, and this is the middle of the country, the strong smell of paint.
It's funny you're saying that because when you're talking about smelling things, it's always perfume, smoke, like sewage, rotten, sulphuric smell, or chemical smells like paint. That's always the 4 common smells.
4 common smells.
Yeah, that people tend to get, but not related to your environment. So, in the bedroom of a castle, and you're smelling paint or random chemicals, it's so out of place. You shouldn't be smelling that in that environment.
Aye, when it doesn't fit in.
Mm-hmm.
Aye. Well, you see, that's exactly that. There was the trees smell like. So we thought maybe maybe the windows of the church had just been painted, but they hadn't been touched. But it was really, really strong, and we were in the middle of fields. So middle of fields, you expect another kind of familiar smell there,
Mm-hmm.
But it was really, really, really strong. We do Stairs quite a good wee location. Now I emphasise the word wee. But I want to get back to what you're saying about how old the paranormal is. A lot of people are under the impression that the paranormal paranormal occurrences started just happening in the sort of late 1800s when spiritualism and that was born. Was it the Short sisters in America? I think it was the Shorts. I probably get their name right. When they started up the spiritualism side of things. But as you say, Kath, there's probably been thousands and thousands of occurrences since the dawn of time.
Yeah. So the earliest recorded paranormal experience, and when I say recorded, I mean written down, was from, I believe, the Roman period, and I might be getting this wrong, but I think it was Plato that recorded it, and it was the story of a gentleman who kept witnessing a man in chains in his house, and he was getting tormented by this guy until they dug up his fort and they found the skeletal remains of someone that was wrapped in chains, and then after they found the body, everything was fine, it settled down, and that was recorded. Whether you believe it happened or not, that's entirely up to you, but it just shows you that back in that period, in that time period, they were having conversations about ghosts and the paranormal, and it wasn't I know they had gods and they believed in all that different stuff, but it wasn't written down as like a story from the gods. It was this man's own like problem that he had in his house. He went to the local, whoever it was, to help him, dug up his floor and found this thing. So even in the Roman times, they were talking about spirits. But that was just the first one that was written down that we found. There's been, before people could write, they would draw paintings on walls. And it's obviously down to interpretation now how we see that. But there's cave paintings of what looks like not human things. So they've been experiencing paranormal. And then in the earlier time, before writing systems, everything was passed through word of mouth. And there was always paranormal stories, whether it be, so paranormal, everyone always thinks, oh, paranormal's ghosts, but it's not. Paranormal could be cryptozoology, it could be strange animals, it could be UFOs, it could be USOs. It's just something that's not normal has occurred, and someone has reported it, someone's witnessed it, and they've told that story, and that goes right back to the start of humanity. It's not a new thing, but for some reason everybody thinks that it is.
I think, as you say, I mean, that goes back to Roman times. You know, as you say, some people might not believe it, but if you think back, the gentleman that wrote it, you know, that reported it, he would, you know, yourself these days, with all these ghost shows, you know, people can make up, you know, my house is haunted, come and visit it, or I'm going to get a TV crew. I'll just say my house is haunted, you know. There's been countless things like that. But back then, you know, in Roman times, people had no reason to lie.
Yeah, what does he gain for that? If anything, most people that report paranormal activity are ridiculed and not believed. It's very rare that you get anyone making any profit or getting any benefit from reporting paranormal sightings or problems. So you get a lot of stuff that goes unreported for fear of ridicule, because they know they won't be believed. So when someone does come forward, why are people so quick to dismiss them? Because they've got nothing to gain and everything to lose. So why are we not believing their story?
I think a lot of people don't believe it, or, you know, I'd say a lot of people don't believe maybe in the paranormal in general because they're scared of it, they don't understand. Yeah. Basically, you know, and add on top of that, the ridicule factor. You know, somebody come in and says, well, I've seen a ghost in my house, and his friend, oh, I believe you. As that friend, maybe think, well, I'm going to get ridiculed here, so I'm saying nothing, but I kind of believe the guy, but I'll keep it to myself.
This is where I think social media and the TV crews and the negative side of it, there's so much fakery, and it gives everyone a bad name, and it makes it so hard for the genuine people to be believed. And a lot of the time you won't get proper genuine footage online because people are scared to post it, because they know if I post this, people are going to tear it apart and they're going to say that it's fake, because there is so much fake stuff. And now with the advent of AI and the technology that we have, it's easier to fake stuff, and that's now making it harder to find the genuine occurrences.
I mean, like, you know, you're spot on, and I mean, unfortunately, genuine occurrence. I mean, that like I said, that incident. I mean, EVPs, I for the whole of them, but that incident in the barn with the heater. you know, that's a kind of golden nugget sometimes. I'm not saying, oh, we're great because, you know, we caught it on camera and all the rest of it. But it's things like that that just very rarely happen.
Mm.
You know, I mean, the last time something like that happened was that location we did with Spig. I was doing it with Rigger and David with Spig. And there's a big set of swing doors. The old-fashioned doors, big pane of glass in the middle of them. Just before we went live, these doors were opened and on there's a hook with a bracket in the wall, the old-fashioned kind of thing. One of the doors just swung and started swinging back and forward. I came off the latch, and David, he worked in this place for over 20 years. He says that's never happened. So we went live and we put the door back again on the latch. He says, "Can you make that happen again?" And it happened again. And Rigger, myself, and David, we examined. I was holding the camera. We examined the latch. We examined the bit in the wall. We examined the door. It happened 3 times, 3 different occasions. And he says, "I just cannot explain." And then David says, "That's never ever happened again." And he's there Monday, Friday. He says, "That door's never ever shut again like that, like it happened that night." That's never happened in the barn. It's a peaceful place. The spirits were there at the weekend, but not the normal spirits. So what are you going to say, Kat?
Do you find as well, because there's so much stuff online that is fake, and the fake stuff is always like, oh, things are being thrown and big crazy things are happening, that the genuine things that when they do happen, people are quick to just go, oh, that's nothing. But they forget that, so your EVPs, your things through the door moving on its own, the sounds like a wee ball being moved across the room, people are like, oh, that's nothing. And it's like, well, no, actually, these are big things. Capturing a voice on a recording or hearing a voice that's disembodied and materialised out of thin air, that is actually quite a big thing. It takes a lot of energy to do it, but also, how can you explain where that's came from? How can you explain to me how a voice has just came out of thin air and made a sound or said a comment or done whatever it's done? That is a big thing. But because of all the stuff online, everyone's like, oh, it's just a wee EVP. Oh, it's just a voice. It's not just a voice. There is no explanation for why that has happened. And it gets overlooked because it's not like a thing being chucked across a room or a black shadow figure appearing out of nowhere.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean? Or like if your torch gets turned on by itself, folk are often like, oh, it's just an electrical fault. Well, see if it's an electrical fault, why is that torch not going on and off all the time? Why has it just happened when I have asked for something to turn it on? And then for an unseen hand to manipulate that object, that is a big thing. That doesn't happen all the time. But because of the stuff online, people are just like, that's nothing.
I totally agree. I'll come back to that because I 1,000% agree with it. That's never happened in Barnes. A peaceful place. The spirits that were there at the weekend were not there. We felt it was different. You know, usually as a peaceful. It wasn't negative. It wasn't demonic or anything like that. You know, we weren't running out the door and with crucifixes and stuff like that. You know, nothing. And but it was just that kind of. When you come out with you'll see. I mean, Loudon's always got this kind of peaceful atmosphere, whether it's the farm or the cut. There's always a welcoming kind of, you know, come on in sort of thing. You know, we might not talk to you, but you're welcome here. But just in the barn, it just felt, you know, something's not happy here, basically. And I'll say a comment up in a wee minute though. But as you say, I've said this, and I totally 100% agree with it. It can be the smallest thing. I mean, you know, a cat ball lighting up. You know, so if it's just cat ball flashed. I said, well, what made that cat ball flash? You know, or the REM pod going off once. Like, what made the REM pod, what caused it to go off? You know, as you say, the disembodied voices, it might just be two words. But where did the two words come from? And who said it? Why did they say it? But I think people just want. I think this is why these people that we mentioned earlier on keep elaborating on this location that they're doing, because I think they're just trying to make it bigger and bigger and bigger, and they don't realise, or they're just that, I don't know, that arrogant that they don't realise that some people aren't looking for that. Some people, even the smallest thing happening is enough. It might not prove there's life after death, but it proves that there's something.
There's something happening. Something is manipulating.
Something we don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
And if you get something that happens that's personal to you, or you can understand it, then it makes you think, well, is that somebody I know, or somebody that knows me, knows of me? And so it's that, it doesn't need to be Ghost Adventures or Most Haunted or, any of that bollocks, but it can be the smallest size. So you're 100% right, because it must take a lot of energy for a spirit to say a word or two, or even a full sentence, or to physically move like that here, to physically move, an object, whether it be a heater or a ping pong ball. They've still got to manipulate. They've still got to find that energy to move that.
Yep.
Let's pop a big comment here. Yep, it's the simplest things are dismissed. We got a voice out saying Rocket Man. Now, the weirdest thing here is my uncle's ashes are spread at Ladyton Lake, 2 minutes from the barn. Rocket Man was played at his funeral. So we did get an EVP saying Rocket Man. Mm-hmm. Some maple circle with a crap.
Was that him? Was that his way of proving that it was him? Because that's something very personal that only she would know. And that's his way of saying. So maybe he's not got enough energy to say, oh, hi, it's me. But he knows that if he says the two words Rocket Man, she'll instantly recognise that and be like, oh my God, that's him.
Mm-hmm.
We're never going to know, but then it explains why some people, they often ask, well, why do this? Why do this? It's like they speak in riddles. Why do they never just come out and tell us, oh, it's me and blah, 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 and talk to us? Because it takes a lot for them to give us any form of communication. So they need to make sure what they do communicate is going to be understood very quickly by the people they're talking to. So they'll use one or two phrases that they know someone's going to recognise as being for them, as Laura did with Rocket Man.
And as you say, it might mean nothing to. I've heard this off of mediums as well. Well, what I say might have nothing to do. It might be special to one person, and it might not be special to them tonight. It might be somewhere down the line, in the future. But it might seem a load of gibberish to us, but then to somebody else, and it might not even be somebody that's there, because there is the other theory that, even though I'm going to use Loudon as an example, but we're familiar with 4 individual spirits at Loudon, and we've had very different kind of names the last couple of times we've done it. Names we've never had before. So is that a case of, it's spirits thinking? Because as far as we know, spirit can see everywhere.
Yeah.
They know what's going on. So is that a case of some random spirit that's, clicked onto, or they're investigating, or whatever you want to call it? I'm going to try and talk to them.
Yeah. So they've seen an open channel for communication, and they've taken the chance to use it.
Aye. So is that the reason why sometimes when you get random EVPs, names understand what they mean?
Yeah. And that spirit is probably hoping that whoever they're trying to communicate with will hear it.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean?
Any port in a storm, basically.
Yeah.
That to me, that is it just a random spirit? I was going to say walking by, but you know what I mean. They're picked up on, well, they can hear. They're trying to hear us, so I'm going to get in there, get my 2 pence in, and hope that the word filters through.
Yeah.
Eventually, is it desperation? You know, so that might be an answer. I'm not saying it is, but again, it's a theory. You know, is it a plausible one? I'd maybe 50-50, which is a plausible one.
Well, that's the thing. The majority of everything that we do is theoretical. But the more of us that do it and the more of us that experience things, we can start to piece these theories together and come up with a clearer picture. So if there's more teams out there, legitimate teams, gathering evidence and experiencing things, and we communicate with each other, and we actually discover, oh, this team's experienced this, or that one's experienced the same, and that one's had the same, and they could be across entire continents, but they've all experienced the same thing, then it means that you're starting to get a bit more weight behind your theory and work out a wee bit more. And these will be teams that are independent of each other, who aren't copying each other, but eventually, by putting their content or whatever, their findings online, we're discovering, no, actually, we're all experiencing similar things. So we're starting to not prove our theories, but we're starting to get a better understanding of what's going on. And that's why I'm all for as many teams as possible going out there and discovering and investigating as many places as possible, because the more we do it, the more we're going to discover and find out.
Aye, it's, you know, I mean, that's very, very true, you know. And I know I talk a lot about Lloydon, but it is your kind of second home. But we've had 5 teams in there now, individual teams, and they've all picked up, not exactly the same, but roughly the same stuff that we picked up on in the same areas. They picked up on extra things as well, you know, in different areas. But the areas that we sort of picked up on, they picked up on stuff as well. So you think, well, if they're getting drawn to the same kind of bit as we are, why?
Yeah, there's something to that. I don't know what it is, but there's something that's guiding them there. And if you're getting individual teams who haven't spoke to each other, and they're all going to the same part of the location, how can there not be? Surely that's not just a coincidence.
No, there's way too much evidence on the part, you know, as you mentioned, worldwide. You know, and it's teams that have never heard of each other, maybe, and it's just, you know, it could be Facebook, it could be TikTok, whatever. You just happen to see something. Like, oh, wait a minute, that happened to us.
Yeah.
So you get in touch with the team and you say, look, we had a similar experience, you know, that happened to you, and it does kind of all come together. But then you get the pilots who'll jump in and use the old demonic word, you know, a place that you've been to, and that annoys me. If you get a place that you're familiar with, like there was an old power station near. We've done a few times, and we'd done another team in there as well. But we'd always get wee bits of activity. It was never, you know, over the top or anything, but there was always wee bits of activity. And we took a guy down there one time. There was 3 floors in this building, and he was up the top floor with us, and he was like, something demonic over in that corner. Don't get near that corner, because there's a demon in it. Laura was there, in fact. What? We'd investigated it maybe 5-6 times previous, but he was hell-bent on a demon in that corner. I don't want you going near there. You remember that, Laura? And you just look at these people like, what the you talking about? There's nothing demonic in this. You know, I'll say that there's nothing. We'd never picked up on anything. You know, and we'd got a wee bit of activity, not very, very much. But he was hell bent. Aye, a demon out there. Don't get that's a bad place. Stay with me. I'll keep you right. I will protect you. You know. And again, that geez, because he had his own team and he used to do investigations on, you know, Facebook and what have you. And as soon as this team was starting an investigation, they go activity right away. You're talking seconds, and they did the same thing every single time. and it was always said they always go. One of the methods you used was the pendulum method. What do you think of the pendulum method? I'm not putting it down, by the way.
It's not something we've really done, and it's more so my ignorance. I don't really know much about it, so we've never really. It's not something we do at investigations.
It's what you do is you need three people, and you stand there. One stands in front of you, and one stands behind you, and you ask spirit. If your answer is yes, can you push me forward? If your answer is no, can you push me backward? And then somebody else starts asking the usual, are you male? Blah, blah, blah. And we tried it once at Alloway Cup and it never worked. I stood in the middle and I felt a right pillock.
It's one of those things, it's not verifiable, is it? It's not. So I'm not saying that I'm not saying that there's nothing to it. I'm not saying that people who have done it aren't genuine. But from an outsider looking in, there's nothing to stop me saying, they're doing that themselves. They're just moving whatever direction they want. You can't verify it because it's a person moving. It's not like if you caught something on an EVP or if a K2 was to go, it's the K2's doing that. A person's not doing that. You can see the K2 sitting and it lights up with no human touching it. But when you've got a human who has the actual pendulum, there's nothing to stop outsiders saying, they're just doing that themselves.
No, exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
I'm in the same canoe as you. I'm not saying that it's no, it doesn't work. But it's one of these ones that leaves a lot, a lot of suspicion. As you say, we can easily roll back and forward. See, we tried it once. That's not to say it doesn't work. And I just felt like an idiot. I think I lasted 5 minutes. I thought, I saw this. But this guy, every time they did it, straight away, bang, they were going back and forward. I think, that just doesn't happen. Just don't, stop doing it. Could be a case of a certain spirit as the boss, but at that particular point, the boss is back down. And then they take the opportunity to come through. As I said, through the week, we need to branch out more. Listen more to other spirits. Love that place. It's just fascinating. I tell you, talk about the power station, Laura. Yes, I do. It's a perfectly peaceful place. It's a big foreboding building, I think it's been abandoned for about 1982, I think it was. It was shut down. It's part of an old mining system, basically. But it's looking at it, it's something out one of these American films, the old big warehouse sort of thing, and you look at it, oh Jesus! But you go in, but it's really, really peaceful and what have you. I forgot what I was saying there. I was talking about that guy with the.
So is that the same? Is that the demon guy? Is that the same guy?
This is demon guy.
Right.
And why are you doing? Just stop doing it. And the funniest thing is, when we first started, he told us we were investigating the wrong way.
I didn't know there was a right way.
Well, that's it. I chid them. I mailed them, what have you. And I said, don't you ever put us doing again. But then months later, he ended up singing our praises and what have you. Think, just go away, basically. It's there's a lot of methods out there that you could say were dubious, but as you say, if you get a K2 or something like that, then I know the K2 can be manipulated with phones and stuff.
Yeah.
We've all seen that. I was going to say I've been manipulated. I've known, but I've stood too near one before my phone, and it's went nuts, and you think, that's.
But then that's my phone that's done that. It's not you verified that by saying that's my phone has interacted with that K2. We know that's not a spirit. Whereas when it's a person just moving back and forward, there's no way to verify anything.
Have you ever watched a team and you just want on TV or Facebook, whatever, and just wanted to scream down the phone or whatever, that, they'll be standing, this other team, the first team that did the Barras location, they did it a lot in that building. They would have a K2 and they'd be right next to them. Now, they'd be live on the phone.
Yeah.
And the K2 would be going nuts. And they were loving it. Oh, spirits are doing this. And, thank you very much. That's fantastic. And you're like, it's your phone. Step away from it.
Yeah. Aye.
Move back for it. But these Muppets are, look at this, look at this. We get some great activity. No, you didn't. You didn't. It was your phone. It's people that I think that's how you can recognise that people are genuine as well.
Yeah. It's understanding your equipment and how it works. And I am by no means a technical expert in anything. It takes me ages to get it all sink in. That's why I kind of prefer the old school methods. But if you know your equipment and you know how it works and you know how potentially spirit can interact with it and you know what external factors can manipulate it, like Wi-Fi signal, electrical signals, just general interference, that's a mark of someone that's legit. Especially if they're getting hits on something continuously, they're not straight away, it's spirit. They'll move it to make sure it isn't electrical interference. They'll try and get the same result, like in a different location. Like they'll try and repeat things over and over to make sure that they're getting intelligent responses. They won't just jump on it straight away and be like, oh my God, that's a spirit. But they understand their equipment, they understand how it works, they know how it's they understand different frequencies and radio waves and EMF and is it Geiger and all that? Again, I don't know the physics behind it. But they will try and verify everything as much as possible by moving their equipment. Whereas it's not just walking up to it with a phone and being like, or apps. Phone apps is another one. Your microphone on your phone can hear what you're asking and then spit out whatever the app thinks that you want it to hear, and you always get things like murder and demon and evil. You never get anything.
It's here.
It's here. Or I'm behind you. Yeah. It's never, it's Maggie here for down the tune. It's always something eerie and bad because these apps are designed to be spooky. And don't get me wrong, there is some good, verifiable, trusted apps out there. But again, it's understanding how the apps work and understanding how the equipment works. If you don't understand how your phone works and how the sensors on your phone work, then you could download any app and it could spit out anything. And if you don't understand it, you're going to go, oh my God, there's an evil spirit here, there's a demon here, because my phone said so. Whereas if you download a verifiable app and you get nothing, then it's very likely it's going to be a genuine app because it's not just spitting out crap all the time.
I'll stay coming up on two sides, Laura. It's as you say, there's two things that came to mind. One, we were saying about with the K2, the phone can set it up. What I found weird, I don't know if this has happened to you, Kat, or no, it happened to me a couple of times at the barn. Is you get your K2 sitting and it's going off. You think, all right, that's my phone. So you move back. And you think, well, was it my phone? So you move back towards the K2, and sure enough, it goes off. So it's your phone. Pardon me. Don't drink this Pepsi Max. It's gassy as hell. But what I found was, so I would move back, but then I'd move forward to the K2 again, without thinking. You know yourself, during the investigation, you do kind of move about and you don't realise it. And there was a few times I'd be near the K2 with my phone and it wouldn't go off.
Was your phone in airplane mode?
No, I was using the phone for the live.
Ah, I see.
And say earlier on, that's my phone is doing that. Then during the investigation, you're kind of moving about as you do, and then you realise I'm right next to that K2. Why is that not good enough?
Mm-hmm.
And the K2 was working fine. What's your thoughts on that? Because I can't understand that.
I don't know much about signals and phone technology, but I could only assume Well, a couple of things. It's either there's something paranormal happening, or at the time when it was going off, there was some sort of signal being passed to your phone. And then when you went close enough the second time, there was maybe not the same signal. But I don't know how Wi-Fi and internet and all that works. So
near that, so I couldn't explain that one.
yeah,
How how it would go off, and then it was a bit of a mystery to me.
But we've had the same. We've had it where you see the K2 going off and you're all right, everyone step back, put your phones in airplane mode, and then you'll go near it again, and or got somebody's phone, whoever's doing the live, it's not on airplane mode, and it's not going off, nothing's happening, and you're like, but it was going off, it was going mental a minute ago, and now it's not, and you think, but it should be because my phone's next to it.
Aye, that's exactly the way I was, and I couldn't work out. I thought that doesn't make any sense. So, was it my phone the first time, or was it Spirit, or was it a combination of both of them?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and this time the Spirit's gone, and my phone's no. It just makes you wonder. When you talk about apps, I'll cover your comment, Laura. Don't worry, I'm not going to forget your comment. You talk about we use the Spirit Talker and the Necrophonic. And you do get random. Spirit Talker was recommended to us by GSI, who are teamed in the Naughty. We're really, really close with them. They recommend, that's what they use. Say, try it. So we did, and we got a lot of good results with it. Some random words drop in there, you know, as you do. We tried the Rando Nautica?
Yeah.
I can never remember the name. The Rando Nautica one night, you know that app that takes you to haunted places.
Yeah, you put in an intention or something, and then it's meant to take you to somewhere that's linked.
Aye.
Aye.
Well, we tried that one night, and we jumped in the car, and it took us to a farm, a working farm. Took us to company's premises as well, and took us somewhere. Thought, this is a load of crap. You know, but you'd folk ranting, you know, raving about the, you need to do this app, will take you to all these haunted places, and we'll get a wee bash, but I think it lasted about an hour and a half. So you're name, this is bollocks. Do you know what I mean? We're sitting outside somebody's house. You know? Well, what do we do? Do we chat my door and ask if our house is haunted? Or we just reverse out their driveway and bugger off. You know what I mean? Laura's comment was, we were talking about tech and what have you. Come on, I couldn't understand how my phone's going to your laptop. Laura was in here today, and she uses the voice recorder on her phone for investigations. So Sarah's got a wire where she said, no, I don't understand, you know, tech, but I understood this. So you plug it in Sarah's phone, then you plug it in the computer. No Sarah's phone, Laura's phone. And everything that's on Laura's phone came up on the computer. But Laura was transfixed by how this was possible. I thought, even I understand it, and I'm one of the thickest guys you'll ever meet when it comes to tech. Sarah to check my headphones were working tonight because we had speakers on earlier on, and but she could not get this runner head. Laura was with us that night as well. So I'm not saying, you know, I'm not saying the app's a load of crap, but it didn't work for us.
Mm.
You know, and there's that many. It's when you get, I know the you for this guy. Do these apps I know they're loaded with X amount of words, but they're not loaded with accents.
Yeah.
You know, have you had accents through?
Yes, we've had accents. So for anyone that's watching it doesn't know, the apps generally sound like computerized, like robotic voices.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no like real pitch or tone, or it's just like a computer generated sound. We've had Scottish accents coming through, we've had Irish accents, we've had foreign languages, and they're not loaded with foreign languages. We've had French, German. Interestingly enough, when we were at the Culty Bragan POW camp years ago, so that was a German prisoner of war camp in Perth, I think. It was for like the worst of the worst Nazi prisoners of war. They were put there, and we were getting German phrases and German words coming through on devices. And I'm like, that, how is that happening? And that was relevant because we were in an environment that had German-speaking people. So you need to give that some kind of credence. There's value to that. And these apps aren't designed to have accents or other languages.
No, 100%, especially our favourite apps in Ecophonic has been since day one. And we've had Scottish, we've had Irish, I think we've had American, and we've had a French accent, a French lady at the Noor Castle. Caldwell and Loudon, we always get Scottish accents. That seems to be quite popular there. And I think we had some Irish today as well for Loudon. So that's the other thing. You know, they're no loaded with accents. So where are these accents coming from?
Mm-hmm. And then the accent it's relevant to your location. So in history, Scotland had connections with the French. There was French-speaking people here. So when a lot of the castles, and you're getting, and it's most in our experience, it's been females, French-speaking women, in a location where in the past there has been French women, and an app's not going to know that. The app doesn't know where we are in the country. Do you know what I mean? So for it to have an accent that comes through that's relevant to your location, that's again, is it coincidence? I don't think so.
We've had Welsh. I think we had Welsh as well. I mean, people could say, as you said earlier on, you know, the microphones, they pick up your voice. Well, you could get people out there that argue, right, well, you've got a Scottish accent. You've been talking into that microphone for majority, you know, maybe the phone's picked your accent. Maybe, I don't know if that's possible for tech to do that. It's picked up your accent, so there's signs coming out in that accent. Maybe that's one it's. But that doesn't explain the French, the German, you know, American, you know, because none of us speak German. Well, I don't know if you do it. None of us speak German, you know. So you could maybe say, right, okay, the Scottish accent, maybe that is possible if it's a thing. But explain the rest of the accents to me then. Yeah.
Yeah. And the foreign languages, like, why would it, if it's continually picking up you speaking English, why would it start then speaking to you in French?
Aye, or German, you know, whatever. There's absolutely no reason for that to happen. So we've had a French lady at the Noor, doing it. She stood right on the water at the Noor Castle.
Aye, a singing French lady.
A singing French lady.
Again, singing? It's not supposed to sing.
Why would an app sing?
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're not designed to sing or whatever. And it's just getting back to what we were saying. It's all these different things that just don't tie in. You know, with kind of logical thinking, if you like, but you know, for the sort of skeptics, we're all skeptic. I think you've got to be that bit skeptic in this game. But for all these true, really, you know, heavy skeptics, you know, you will explain it to me. How can I say, oh no, that's not possible. See, well, it's not possible, but it's happening.
Yeah. So explain why it's not possible. If you're totally skeptic, you know, oh no, it's not right. Tell me why. Tell me if that isn't a spirit that's manipulated that app to say whatever that word is in whatever language it is. Tell me how it's happened. Give me the rational explanation as to why that app has just done that. And they can't. So you can't tell me it's paranormal and you can't tell me it's not paranormal. Do you know what I mean? So there's something happened, but there's no explanation for it. So we'll just call it unexplained. If we don't want to say that it's paranormal or a ghost or a spirit or whatever, we'll keep it unexplained. But don't sit and tell me that it's nothing, because it's clearly something.
It's like you got these things, you know, that happen to investigations. And I mean, what we did the train station in Kilmarnock a couple of years ago now, and they've got, well, at the time it was a games room they had. It was a big room, and there was maybe about a dozen tables all set out. In the middle of the room the K2 would go nuts. But, so we thought it was maybe a let's go wide, but it was only in this certain area, right in the middle of the room. So, you know, as we did it on camera, I moved to one end of the room, K2 went dead, the other side went dead. I held it up to the electric lights, K2 went dead. I put it on the flare, went dead. As soon as I think it was about 3 or 4 feet in the air in this one area, it went crazy. We thought it was maybe the K2, so we tried another one. The exact same thing happened. You know, and again, with the second one, I put it outside the area and it went totally flat. But in this, so, you know, we couldn't explain that. So I thought maybe, was that some, because there was activity in that room, we did pick up quite a lot. Is that some kind of portal?
Because if it was natural environmental EMF, you would expect it to be in all directions. Do you know what I mean? They're not just contained in that one wee space.
But see, it was just that one space. And we know there was intelligent spirits there. We got a lot of response, especially the REM pod. And I found this weird as well. We quite a few REM pods, but one in particular kept going off about the full investigation. So we took a wee bit. We're going to take a wee break for a coffee, cigarette, whatever. But it was a massive big room, but it was split by kind of half a wall. So we were in the next section, and we were there for about 15, 20 minutes, and then we went back to investigate. And it was later on that I clicked. That REM pod never went off once. The neighbours were near the REM pod. We were on the other side of the room when we were getting responses for it. I thought that REM pod never went off once at all until we started investigating again. And as I say, people could say that's because you weren't anywhere near it, but we weren't anywhere near it to start with, which people could see because we were live doing it. And I thought that REM pod was totally dead the entire time we were next door. And then we came back and it started going off again.
Maybe when you said you were stopping for a break, the spirit also decided it was break time.
Maybe thought, well, you know, that's about time, maybe, so we'll just pop off and have a wee break and all, and we'll just keep an eye on these folk and we'll come back when they come back. It's just, it could bust your brain, couldn't it?
Aye.
And I think that's why, we love it so much. One of the reasons we love it so much, that we keep going out doing what we're doing, and who knows, maybe
fun, isn't it? Part of the fun.
Maybe one day we'll find the answer to life. Who knows? But I think we'll wind up. That's around 40 minutes we've been on.
We could talk all night, couldn't we? We just
I know.
On and on and on.
I know. Chatty, you know what I mean? But I'll keep a hold of you just after we come off though. So where can people find, I nearly said unblocked. I think I nearly said that the last time. Unlocked Paranormal.
So all the usual places. We're on Facebook, we're on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and we've also got our website, just www.unlockedparanormal.com, or just fire Unlocked Paranormal into Google and you will find us and our upcoming events.
Cheers, Laura Doll. I should give a wee look up, folks. We are going to have them back, and we are going to do a wee collab when they're not so busy. We'll drag them down to Ayrshire or something, because I don't think there's anywhere where you live. I'm not going to say we use a base, but there's nowhere up there to investigate, is there?
There really isn't. It's very disappointing.
Because when I first found out where you were from, obviously I used to live there, I thought, where did you go? There's I don't know if it's still classes a new town. I know it used to be, you know, it used to be classed years ago. I mean, you've got the central part of it, you know, this old village. I think that's about it.
Aye, and even then, there's nothing. That's why we spend most of our time elsewhere.
Because I think even the cemetery's quite modern. The big one's quite modern.
Yeah.
Age-wise, you know, I'm not saying it's brand new, but, you know, there's folk been in there for quite a while, but it's modern-ish.
Mm-hmm.
So there's really never. But anyway, that's for another day. But we'll wind it up there, folks. So go and give Unlock Paranormal a look up, and a big thanks to Kathy for coming in. You will be seeing her again, and enjoy the rest of your week. We'll be back on Sunday with Our Ghost Reel. It's a lady for TikTok. Don't forget, a weekend Friday, well, next Wednesday, we're at Loudon, the Daytime Invest, and then next Friday with Rosie and Emma, we'll be there doing a overnight, an all-nighter at Loudon Kirk. I'll try to be dramatic there, Loudon Kirk. That's the thing. Do you ever watch Still Game?
Who has
Winston, you know. Well, we love it. We know it inside out, you know. Even her daughter, she loves it, you know. It's when, you know, shut it, I can't say, I can't say it. Shut it, Tajar. That's the ticket. We're. It's quite sad actually that we know it inside out, basically. But it's
just passion. You're just passionate about it.
Half two, half three. Mind that one. When Victor's son's coming up to visit him, and he phones him for the train station, and he said we'll be arriving in Glasgow Central and then this train horn goes. So Jack and Victor are trying to work it out on the answer machine, and Jack's with that. I've got it. We're arriving at 2:30, and so Victor's at 3:30, 4:30. As you could rhyme, you know, the list is endless, and it's a part of Scotland. There's a part of, you know, some people might say, I know we're winding up there, folks. We are going to wind up on the wee side. Don't worry. It's one of these shows that became part of you. You know, you see a lot on TikTok. There's a lot on TikTok, and there's a Facebook group I'm on. But the last episode, you know, where they're walking up the mountain, basically, the amount of people that, you know, I cry every time I watch that and what have you. Because you felt like they were all like good pals of you. You could relate to them.
They were a part of your life.
They were a part of your life, and, you know, it was always as if they were actually real characters, you know, real people, you know. But it's just when once in, shut it, Taja. I can see that, can I be?
You said bollocks earlier.
I said bollocks earlier. So, you know. But anyway, that's enough of it. If you've never watched Still Game, we Rosie Cat, she's from Southampton, and she came up to visit with her other half last January, and we put Still Game on. They'd never heard it, never seen it in their life. So we put the first episode where Jack flits to, you know, he moves house to Osprey Heights. She thought it was hilarious. So she went back down the road and she started watching us. So her mum's coming up next week with Rosie, Emma, lovely woman. So she's never ever seen Still Game. So we're going to introduce her to Still Game, Jack and Victor, because Rosie was fairly taken over them. But anyway, we're going to wind up the other end. So thanks to Kat and thanks to everybody who watched, and we shall see you on Sunday night. All right, folks, take care. Bye.